Alright, so as we start the year 2025, the newest Pokemon TCG set, Prismatic Evolutions, was finally getting ready to be released in English. In anticipation for this set, I wanted to shiny hunt for all the shiny eeveelutions before the set came out. On the first day, after we finished evolving every shiny starter, we had a Flareon outbreak. Flareon is my favorite Pokemon overall, so I was excited to get this for our first hunt. The spawn location was kind of awkward as there was a lot of snow and oftentimes there was blizzards happening around the area. But we managed to get our first shiny below the hour. The next shiny outbreak we got in the snowy mountains was Glaceon. I imagined this was going to be a more difficult hunt since the shiny is not too different from the regular version. However, when hunting in the mountains, it became very apparent on what a shiny looked like compared to its original coloration. After shiny hunting for Glaceon, I knew there were two other eeveelutions that could be hunted without needing an outbreak, Jolteon and Espeon. We first hunted for Jolteon outside of Medali since it was the most isolated area to hunt for him. This was a relatively fast hunt as we found it within our first sandwich. We still had some time left in the day, so I wanted to do the last isolated encounter eeveelution, Espeon. This was a bit of a harder hunt since not only was Espeon an isolated encounter, but it could only be caught during the day. This would mean we had to make sure that we were using our time wisely throughout the day to try and isolate for a shiny Espeon. It didn't take very long to try and hunt for Espeon, but this was almost my biggest fail of 2025. There's no way I just did that. There's no way I just did that. Wait. There's no way. I saved. Okay, it's still here. Okay. Oh my gosh. Luckily, I was spamming the A button for the save. However, it did give me a bit of a heart attack when I accidentally set up the picnic and it despawned all the Pokemon in the area. Logging back in, we were able to get our shiny Espeon. With the remaining eeveelutions, we needed to rely on outbreaks since there were no other isolated encounter spots. During the next day, I booted up the game to find a Vaporeon outbreak, and as soon as I got to the outbreak area, a shiny Vaporeon showed up. This was before I even started recording. We then proceeded to find 4 more shiny Vaporeons during the one sandwich, giving us the largest batch of duplicates we got throughout this adventure, and almost failing another shiny. Since Vaporeon was such a fast shiny, we reset for different outbreaks and got a Leafeon outbreak. Now this was probably going to be one of the hardest shinies to see since it was only slightly darker than the regular version. Not to mention, the area that we were hunting it in was entirely grassy. Luckily, we were able to find one pretty early within the sandwich. The final outbreak for the day was the Sylveon outbreak outside of Alfrenata. This was the worst shiny hunting spot for Sylveon. Not only were there other fairy Pokemon spawning in the background, but there weren't a lot of Sylveon spawning from the outbreak itself. Not to mention, we were so close to the city, we could have accidentally despawned a shiny if we did get close to the borders. I was not going to fail the shiny. I tried many different methods to try and get as many to spawn, and with less than 3 minutes left on our first sandwich, we got our shiny Sylveon. The final 2 shinies we needed to get were Umbreon and Eevee. We managed to get an Umbreon outbreak first in a cave near Alfrenata. This was also a difficult shiny to get since Umbreon was a nighttime spawn Pokemon. So we had to make most of the night cycle within the game to get our first shiny Umbreon. There were also 2 other problem Pokemon in the area, Dano and Sableye. These 2 Pokemon would often take up some spawn spots and was afraid that these were going to take out our shiny slots. After almost 2 hours of hunting, we finally got our first shiny Umbreon. All that was left was Eevee. The Eevee outbreak area we got was oddly similar to hunting for Cyndaquil. There was only one spawn spot for Eevee to spawn in, and if there was an Eevee sitting on that spot, you just had to go over and move it over. I thought this was going to be the longest hunt since we didn't get very many Eevee to spot, until our first shiny Eevee showed up within 8 minutes of us making the sandwich. Catching shiny Eevees was a whole new learning experience for different shinies, whether I was learning about day and night cycle Pokemon, or trying to figure out how I can target outbreak areas for specific types. All in all, we completed the Eevee before the new set came out. Right, so I got sick for about a week and was not able to edit this video, but hey, better late than never.